my students, it's me again, Madam Gracious Kanzieni from Educare TZ. Welcome my Form 3 students. We are proceeding with our chemistry series session, and we are proceeding with our topic of ionic theory and electrolysis. My students, in the previous session we have already learned on the concept of ionic theories. We have started the concept of electrolysis, ambapo tuliona the concept of electrolysis, tuliona the mechanism of electrolysis, tuliona how the electrolysis take place, and tuliona inatokea kwenye electrolytic cell, and so forth. Tuliona the reactions ambazo zinatokea kwenye electrodes and so forth. Now today let us start with the differential discharge of the ion during electrolysis, kwamba leo tunaenda kuconsider this preferential, vile vipaumbele vya discharge of the ions katika wakati wa electrolysis. Welcome to start our session, my student. I hope you will enjoy. Now, in addition to the ions of a solute, an aqueous solution of electrolyte containing hydrogen, which is hydrogen positive charged ion, and the hydroxyl, which is OH ions from water. Kwamba kwenye solution au kwenye electrolyte ambayo imecontain kwamba katika katika addition ya ions of solute, an aqueous solution or electrolyte imecontain hydrogen ambayo ni positive na OH ambayo ni negative, ambayo hii hapa inatoka kwenye water. Now the hydrogen ions together with the cation of the electrolyte migrate to the cathode, kwamba the hydrogen ambayo yenyewe ni positive charge ita migrate kwenda kwa cathode, while the hydroxide ions of and the ions of the electrolyte migrate to the anode, kwamba kumbe ile OH ambayo ni negative na zile ions za electrolyte zenyewe zita migrate au zita move kwenda kwenye anode. At the electrode, some of the ions gain or lose electron, kwamba kwenye electrode tunajua kwamba some of the ions zitakuwa zina lose au zina gain, na zile ambazo zina lose tunajua ni positive charged ion ambayo ni kwenye cathode. Vile vile zile ambazo zina gain tunajua kwamba ni negative charged ion ambazo ni katika nini, anode. Now only one type of the ion is discharged at each electrode, kwamba only one type. Tutaona zote hizo zina move, zina migrant from each other toward the electrode from the electrolyte, kwa sababu zile ions ambazo zinakuwa free kutoka kwenye electrode zenyewe zita move. At the same time from the addition of the solute, ambapo katika electrolyte tunakuwa na hydrogen na OH za water, zenyewe zinafanyaje? Zina migrant toward the electrode. Now hapa ndo tunakuja kuangalia ile preferential, zile vipaumbele. Now when two or more ions are similar charge are present under the similar condition in a solution. For example, we have the hydrogen, which is positive charged ion. We have the sodium, which is positive charged ion. Sodium sodium imetoka kwenye free ions of the electrolyte. From dissociation of free ions of the electrolyte tumempata sodium, lakini hydrogen ametoka kwenye water. Now OH and sulfate ions, so OH ametoka kwenye water, lakini hii sulfate ions ambayo ni negative charged ion mwenyewe ametoka kwenye hii solution ya electrolyte ambayo ilikuwa ni sodium sulfate. Now one is preferential selected for discharge, kwamba inayotakiwa iwe discharge is only one to each, only one. Kama ni kwenye cation inatakiwa iwe discharge maybe ni hydrogen or sodium, or sodium ions, na vile vile katika an ion maybe ni OH, hydroxyl or sulfate ions. So hapa ndo tunakuja kuconsider hizi preferential selected for discharge. However, the selection of the ions for discharge depends on the factors such as follow, kwamba yenyewe hii inategemea factors. What are those factors? Position of ion in the electrochemical series, kwamba factor ya kwanza ni ile position ya electrochemical series, kwamba tuna consider ile electrochemical series kujua kwamba hii ion itakuwa discharged fast or not. You see, another is concentration of ion in a solution. Kingine tunaangalia ile concentration of ion katika solution. If the concentration is in excess, in low amount, so it's where we can able to know which one will be discharged fast. Sorry my student. Another factor is the nature of electrode, kwamba hapa tunaangalia sasa nature ya electrode yenyewe. Positively charged, negative charged, kwamba kama electrode ni cathode, it means that zile negative zitakuwa zina move in opposite, lakini kama ni anode ambayo ni negative, zile positive zitakuwa zina move toward them. So nature ya electrode itapelekea pia tujue kwamba which ions will be discharged fast or will be discharged. Now let us start with the one factor to another. By starting with the factor of position of ions in the electrochemical series. Now, what is the electrochemical series? Tunavyoongelea electrochemical series tuna maana gani? The electrochemical series is an arrangement of elements depending on their ease in gaining electron. Kwamba tunaangalia kumbe ni ule mtiririko, mpangilio wa element kulingana na zenyewe ambazo zinaweza kugain electron kirahisi. The ease in gaining electron. Kumbe ile ambavyo imejipanga kwenye series ndio tutajua kwamba this is ni rahisi kugain electron au sio rahisi. This is all about electrochemical series, kwamba ni ile arrangement of element according or depending to the ease ule urahisi ease of gaining electron. Now for metals and hydrogen, the ease of discharge of an ion is determined by the position of an ion in the electrochemical series showing in the figure below. Kwamba tunaona kwamba kwa hiyo tuna metals, tuna hydrogen, tuna maybe kwenye an ion tuna hydroxyl, tuna ion nyingine. Sasa tunaangalia ile easiness, ule urahisi wa ile kugain au kulose electrons, is where we will prefer that this element or this an ion or this ion will be discharged. Now let us consider the electrochemical series. This is our electrochemical series whereby we have the cation part and we have an anion part. Cation is all positive, where we have potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, tin, lead, ambayo hizi ni Latin names zake. We have hydrogen, we have copper and silver. And an iron we have the fluorine, sulfate, nitrate, chlorine, bromine, iodine, and the OH, hydroxyl ion. Now my students, as you see this arrow pointing down, and it is written ease of discharge increase, kwamba as you go down the electrochemical series there is the discharge of ions. Kumbe nikiwa na potassium na nikiwa na hydrogen, the one which will be fast will discharge is hydrogen, simply kwa sababu the ease of this hydrogen to gain electron is very is compared to potassium, compared to sodium. So you can see as you go down the electrochemical series is where the ease of discharging of ions tend to increase, kwamba ule urahisi wa ile ion undergo kudischarge inakuwa ni very easy, inakuwa kwa urahisi sana. Same apply to anions katika negative. Ukiwa na fluorine, at the same time you have hydroxyl ion, the first anion which will be discharged or will prefer in the preferential of discharging of ions, this one will be the first compared to the fluorine, simply because we consider the factor of electrochemical series, kama inavyotuelekeza kwamba ule urahisi wa ion kudischarge inategemea na position ya ile arrangement ya electrochemical series, na kadri unavyoenda chini the ease tend to increase, ule urahisi wa kudischarge wa zile element unaongezeka. Now from there we can able to prove or to suggest, to conclude from those example tulizoziona. Tulikuwa na hydrogen, at the same time tuna sodium, vile vile tukawa na hydroxyl, at the same tukawa na sulfate. So utakuja kuona kwamba kumbe katika ile preferential discharge of ion, sodium na hydrogen atakuwa discharged first, simply kwa sababu tukiangalia kwenye ile electrochemical series, sodium yupo at the top while the hydrogen at the lower, na ile discharging ina increase according to the electrochemical as you go down. Lakini vile vile tulikuwa na sulfate ions na hydroxyl, kumbe hydroxyl ipo down the electrochemical series compared na sulfate ions. So what will be the first discharging, itakuwa ambayo itapata priority to discharge, to undergo discharge is hydroxyl. Now my students, the ions of the elements high in the electrochemical series are not readily discharged. Why? Because their ions are very stable in solution. Kwamba kumbe zile elementi au ions ambazo zenyewe zinakuwa at the top of the electrochemical series zenyewe haziwi discharged fast, haziwi easy to be discharged, simply kwa sababu zenyewe zinakuwa na character ya kuwa very stable. For instance, in the electrolysis of solution of copper 2 sulfate, the ion present in the solution is copper, sulfate, hydrogen and water. This hydrogen and hydroxyl, they come from water solution. Now kwenye electrolyte sasa, solution yetu pale ya electrolyte ile molten itakuwa ni copper sulfate. Kumbe hapa tuna copper, tuna sulfate, tuna hydrogen na hydroxyl, mean that the copper and the hydrogen ion migrate to the cathode, kwamba hizi zita migrate to the cathode, lakini sulfate ions and the hydroxyl ion migrate to the anode, zenyewe hizi zita migrate kwenda kwenye anode. At the cathode, the copper ions are discharged in preference to the hydrogen ion, because copper is lower than hydrogen in the electrochemical series. Hapa ndo tunakuja kuangalia sasa factor ya electrochemical series katika discharge of ions, kwamba tumeona tuna copper na hydrogen, lakini copper atakuwa discharge preference, atakuwa na kipaumbele cha kudischarge kuliko hydrogen, simply kwa sababu mwenyewe yupo lower in the electrochemical series. Now thus copper metal is deposited at the cathode, kwa hiyo metal itakuwa deposited at the cathode, lakini itakayokuwa discharged ni hydrogen ions. At the anode, hydroxide ions are discharged in preference kwamba hydroxide yenyewe itakuwa ni first, itakuwa na kipaumbele cha kudischarge, simply kwa sababu yenyewe ipo lower in the electrochemical series of an ions. Now thus oxygen and water are formed at the anode, kwamba hydroxyl sasa after discharging there tunaenda kupata oxygen, vile vile tunaenda kupata water as the product. Now let us see the factor of concentration of ions, kwamba hapa tunaangalia ile concentration. Hii ni factor nyingine ambayo inapelekea au ina influence the preference of discharge of ions. Now a high concentration of ions in a solution favor their discharge, kwamba kumbe concentration ikuwa kubwa inapelekea au inarahisisha ile discharge ya zile ions. Kama ion ina concentration kubwa itapelekea preference, itakuwa discharged first. For example, in the electrolysis of a concentrated solution of hydrochloric acid, the anion present are hydroxide ions ambayo kuna OH from water and chlorine ions kutoka kwenye hydrochloric acid. Now these ions migrate to the anode, kwamba zenyewe zina migrate to the anode. Considering the preferential discharge of the two types of ions, OH should be discharged in the preference to chlorine, simply kwa sababu OH ipo down the electrochemical series. But also since OH is below this one chlorine in the electrochemical series, but however chlorine is discharged in preference to OH because of the high concentration of the chlorine in the solution. Lakini kulingana na criteria or factor of electrochemical series, mean that katika chlorine na OH ambayo inakuwa preferred first to discharge ni OH kwa sababu ipo down the electrochemical series compared to chlorine. But in the issue or the factor of concentration, now the chlorine itakuwa preference, itapewa kipaumbele cha kudischarge au itakuwa ya kwanza kudischarge kuliko hydroxide kulingana na ile concentration yake kwenye solution. Now thus chlorine gas is involved instead of oxygen gas as shown in the figure below. Sasa baada ya OH kwa undergo kuwa discharged ili kupata ile hydrogen and water, now itakuwa involved chlorine ambapo tutaenda kuinvolve chlorine gas badala ya kwenda kuinvolve the oxygen gas. Equation this is chlorine aqueous ambapo inakuwa discharged, tunaenda kupata chlorine gas with the 2 electrons. Another factor is the nature of electrode. When we talk about nature of electrode, hapa tunaongelea nature ya cathode na anode. Simply, the nature of electrode, especially the cathode, determine which ion are discharged. Kwamba hapa tuna base sana na hizi cathode, kwamba the nature of electrode sana cathode electrode yenyewe ina determine the ion which should be or which are discharged preference. For example, when sodium chloride solution is electrolyzed by using a mercury cathode, a product formed is different from the one that is formed when a platinum cathode is used. Kwamba kama itatumika mercury na platinum itakuwa ni vitu tofauti kabisa. For instance, both sodium and hydrogen ion present in the sodium chloride solution migrate to the cathode. When a mercury cathode is used, sodium ions are discharged to give the sodium metal which readily dissolve in mercury to form the sodium amalgam, ambayo hii sodium amalgam yenyewe inakuwa ni solution of sodium in mercury. Now the chemical equation of the reaction are as follow, kwamba this one are the sodium it tends to discharge, we are going to have the sodium metal, but also so you can see this sodium once it tend to discharge in this mercury, I mean the mercury electrode, it's going to react, and after reacting we are going to have the solution of sodium amalgam ambayo yenyewe ni sodium ambayo iko made of mercury solution. Ndio hiki kitu hapa, mercury and sodium liquid. Hii ni mercury au sodium mercury solution. Now if platinum is used, hydrogen ions are discharged to give hydrogen gas. Kama itatumika platinum, hatutaona tena ile mercury sodium mercury solution. What will happen? We are going to involve the hydrogen gas. For instance, consider the diagram. As you can see here, this is the hydrogen in aqueous. After they discharge the ion, we are going to have the hydrogen gas. Note, something to note, mercury electrodes are currently prohibited or restricted because of their toxicity to human being and the environment. Kwamba hii mercury electrodes zenyewe zimekuwa prohibited, zimepigwa marufuku na mara nyingi zimekuwa zimezuiliwa. Kwa nini? Simply tunajua mercury yenyewe inakuwa ina toxic katika mazingira, vile vile katika afya ya binadamu inapelekea magonjwa mabaya sana. Now my student, after looking the whole concept of preparations to be considered during the discharge of ions in the electrolysis mechanism or process, ambapo tumeona it depend on the different factors na discuss these factors. Now there is a task here for you my student. Try to attempt you should improve your understanding concerning the concept we have discussed today. The question is, describe the 4 factors of preferential discharge of ions during electrolysis. Thank you my students. This marks the end of our session today. Stay tuned for more session series of this topic, and also don't forget to subscribe and follow the Educare TZ. Bye bye my student. Have a nice moment.